Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a journey that spans centuries and continents, tracing the fascinating story of quinine, from its origins in the Amazon rainforest to its impact on world history and, believe it or not, the future of medicine.
It really is remarkable. This seemingly simple plant extract has had such a profound and far-reaching impact. It's a testament to the power of discovery, both the accidental and the intentional kind.
Let's start at the very beginning, deep in the Peruvian Amazon. Dense jungle, a lost traveler, burning with fever, desperate for relief. He stumbles upon a pool of water, shaded by these towering quina trees. Now, legend has it, the bark of these trees holds the key to breaking fever. Driven by desperation, the traveler drinks from that pool, and his fever breaks. Is there any truth, Teo?
Well, the story of the lost traveler is certainly captivating, but it's likely more myth than reality. We do know for certain that the indigenous Quechua people of Peru had a deep understanding of the quina tree. Long before Europeans ever set foot on their land, they used its bark to treat a variety of ailments, fevers in particular.
So how does this ancient knowledge make its way from the depths of the Amazon to Europe? I've heard whispers of a countess.
Yes, the Countess of Chinchon. As the story goes, she was the wife of the Viceroy of Peru, and she fell deathly ill with malaria. The Quechua people, witnessing her suffering, they shared their secret remedy, the bark of the quina tree, and miraculously, she recovered. Now, historians debate the accuracy of this story, but one thing is certain. The Countess's supposed recovery really thrust Jesuits' bark, as it became known, into the spotlight in Europe.
Jesuits' bark. That definitely suggests there's more to the story.
There is. Jesuit missionaries played a pivotal role. Intrigued by these indigenous practices, they sent samples back to Rome. It was hailed as a miracle cure for fever, and to make it a little more palatable, they would often mix it with wine.
Can you imagine how bitter that must have been? I mean, quinine is notoriously bitter.
I can't even imagine.
We've talked about the cure, but let's talk about the disease, malaria. We all know the name, but I think we often underestimate its impact.
You're absolutely right. It's easy to forget just how devastating malaria has been throughout history. The name itself, it comes from the Italian malaria, meaning bad air, because people initially believed that it was caused by swampy air.
So if it's not bad air, what actually causes malaria?
It's a parasite called Plasmodium, and it's transmitted through the bite of infected Anopheles mosquitoes. Imagine this tiny little parasite hitches a ride on a mosquito, gets into your bloodstream, and starts attacking your red blood cells. And that's what leads to the cyclical fevers and chills, the sweat. They're the hallmarks of the disease.
Chills, sweats, fever. It's a nasty disease, and it still affects millions around the world. The World Health Organization estimates there were over 240 million cases in 2021. That's a staggering number. And while we often associate it with tropical regions, its reach historically has been far wider.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, malaria has truly touched every corner of the globe, and in some truly devastating ways. Take, for example, the fall of the Roman Empire. Some historians believe that malaria played a significant role, weakening the population and making them more susceptible to other threats.
Right, and even more recently, it played a role in the transatlantic slave trade.
Exactly. European colonists were far more vulnerable to malaria in the African climate than the native populace.
It's a stark reminder of just how deeply entwined human history and disease truly are, and it makes the discovery of quinine all the more significant. But for centuries, people were consuming the bark itself, not a very pleasant or precise way of getting your medicine.
No, not at all. It wasn't until 1820 that two French scientists, Pelletier and Caventou, finally isolated the active compound in that cinchona bark, quinine. This was truly a turning point. It allowed for standardized dosages. It paved the way for modern medicine as we know it.
A massive shift from consuming large amounts of bark to these precise doses of purified quinine. It's fascinating how the story of quinine goes beyond the doctor's office. It's even influenced wars.
Oh, absolutely. Quinine quickly became a strategic resource, with both sides vying for control of its supply. During the American Civil War, for instance, Southern troops had to rely on smuggling networks to obtain this precious substance.
Wow. It just shows how crucial quinine was, even in the midst of a brutal conflict.
Definitely. And that importance only grew during World War II. When the Japanese seized control of Java, they cut the Allies off from their primary source of quinine. The world's largest quinine factory was on Java at the time.
You gotta be kidding. So what did the Allies do?
They launched the Cinchona missions, this massive undertaking, comparable in scale to the Manhattan Project. Imagine botanists and foresters braving the treacherous terrain of the Andes, searching for those precious cinchona trees, all while a world war raged on.
It sounds like something straight out of an adventure movie, and all for quinine.
It really does.
But this just highlights how the significance of quinine went way beyond just malaria, didn't it?
Yes, it did, and in some pretty surprising ways. Quinine, for example, was one of the first drugs used to treat lupus, an autoimmune disease, and it's been used for rheumatoid arthritis since the mid-1950s.
Quinine for arthritis. You learn something new every day. I wonder what other uses we haven't discovered yet.
That's the beauty of science, isn't it?
It is. And of course, we can't forget the presence of quinine in everyday life. That bitter taste in tonic water. That's quinine. Although, it's worth noting that its over-the-counter sale for leg cramps was actually banned by the FDA back in 1994.
That's right. There's a reason for that. Because while powerful, quinine does have a darker side.
It's a classic example of the double-edged sword of medicine, right?
Exactly. It has what we call a narrow therapeutic window, the difference between a safe dose and a potentially dangerous overdose.
So in layman's terms, what happens if you take too much?
You can develop a condition called synconism, and the symptoms, they range from mild, like a skin rash, maybe some ringing in your ear, but it can become much more serious. Blurred vision, abdominal problems, even blindness in severe cases.
That's a pretty scary list of side effects.
It is, and it's why careful dosing is so important. Medical supervision. And then there's the concern about blackwater fever.
Blackwater fever. I've never even heard of that.
It's a rare but serious condition. Blackwater fever causes red blood cells to break down, releasing hemoglobin into the urine. That's the name. This can lead to kidney failure and even death. While the exact link between quinine and blackwater fever is still being studied, it's a risk doctors need to be aware of.
So quinine, as powerful as it is, isn't without its risks.
No, it isn't. And that realization really fueled the search for safer alternatives. Scientists started searching for synthetic compounds, ones that could mimic the effects of quinine but without the same risks.
And this is where synthetic drugs like chloroquine enter the scene.
Precise. Chloroquine emerged in the 1940s, and it was truly a game changer. Easier to produce, less toxic. But in the 1950s, certain strains of that malaria parasite, specifically Plasmodium falciparum, started developing resistance to chloroquine.
Wait, hold on. Why is it a big deal that that particular strain of malaria became resistant?
Well, Plasmodium falciparum, it's the most dangerous of the malaria parasites, responsible for the most severe cases and the majority of malaria-related death. And when it started developing resistance to chloroquine, it was a major setback in the fight against.
So did chloroquine become completely useless?
Not entirely. It's still used in certain regions where resistance isn't as widespread, and it's effective against other forms of malaria. However, this resistance issue significantly limited its widespread use.
So where does that leave quinine? Back on the sidelines?
Not quite. Quinine has actually made a bit of a comeback. You see, it's still a valuable second-line treatment, especially when resistance to other drugs is concerned. And in many resource-limited areas, particularly in Africa, it's still a crucial first-line treatment.
So quinine has come full circle, from rainforest to the lab and back again. It speaks to its enduring effectiveness. But looking back, its discovery was largely due to chance and careful observation. It's a slow process. Makes you wonder how different things might have been with today's technology.
It really does. I mean, we're in a new era of medical discovery, where technology plays a much more central role. Take artificial intelligence, for instance. AI.
AI. It's everywhere these days. But how does it fit into drug discovery?
AI can analyze vast amounts of data, identify patterns, make predictions with incredible speed and accuracy. Imagine a research assistant, one that can sift through mountains of information and spot connections that would take human researchers years to find.
So how would AI have changed the story of quinine?
It could have accelerated the whole process, identifying the active compound, optimizing dosages, and, crucially, perhaps even predicting the emergence of that resistance. Imagine being able to anticipate those challenges before they even arise.
Now that would have been revolutionary. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About all the other medical breakthroughs that might be out there, just waiting to be unlocked by AI.
It's a truly exciting time to be involved in medicine, that's for sure. With AI, the possibilities really are limitless, but that's a story for another deep dive.
It's mind-boggling to think about. The contrast between the discovery of quinine and the potential of AI. It really highlights how much our approach to medicine is evolving, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Quinine's story, with its reliance on chance observations and, that gradual refinement over time, it feels like a relic of a bygone era.
So does that mean serendipity no longer plays a role in medical breakthroughs? Is it all data and algorithms now?
Not necessarily. I mean, serendipity will always have its place. We can't predict every scientific breakthrough, right? But AI, it gives us a way to be more strategic, to accelerate that pace of discovery, making those happy accidents more likely to happen.
I like that. Increasing the odds of serendipity. It sounds like AI has the potential to completely change the game. Can you give us a glimpse into how this is transforming medicine?
Absolutely. One of the areas where AI really excels is in analyzing these massive data sets. We're talking about a sea of information generated every day in medical clinical trial data, genetic information, medical imaging, scientific literature. It's overwhelming.
It's hard to even imagine keeping up with it all, let alone making sense of it.
Exactly. And that's where AI comes in. AI algorithms can sift through those massive data sets and identify patterns and connections that would likely be missed by human researchers.
So AI is kind of like a digital detective, uncovering clues that are hidden within mountains of data.
That's a great way to put it. And those clues can lead to incredible discovery, new insights into disease mechanisms, mechanisms, potential drug targets, even personalized treatment strategy tailored to an individual's genetic makeup.
Wow. So it's not just about finding a cure for a disease, it's about finding the right
Yeah.
for each individual. That's incredible.
It is, and AI can even help predict how effective and safe new drugs will be before they ever reach human trials. By analyzing data on drug interactions, side effects, genetic variation, it can help flag potential problems very promptly.
It sounds like that could save countless lives and resources. It all sounds incredibly promising. But I have to imagine there are challenges as well, right? I mean, no technology is perfect.
Of course, AI is a powerful tool, but it's still just that, a tool. One of the biggest challenges is making sure the data used to train these algorithms is high quality and free from bias. If the data is flawed, the results can be inaccurate and potentially even harmful.
So garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Precisely. And that's why human expertise is still so crucial. Scientists, doctors, ethicists, they all play a critical role in guiding the development and the application of AI in medicine, making sure it's ethically and responsible, and that the ultimate goal is always to improve care.
It's a powerful reminder that technology, no matter how advanced, should always serve humanity.
I couldn't agree more. And I think the story of quinine, with its humble beginnings and its long winding path, it really underscores that point. A story of human curiosity, ingenuity, and our relentless.
And speaking of that pursuit, what is it about the story of quinine that you, as an expert, find most fascinating?
It's hard to choose just one thing, but I think for me, it's the enduring power of observation. The fact that Quechua people, through centuries of careful observation and experimentation, were able to unlock the healing secrets of that chona tree. It's a testament to human curiosity, to our desire to understand the natural world.
It's a beautiful reminder that sometimes the most profound insights are right there in front of us. We just have to look closely enough to see them.
Exactly. And that journey of discovery, it takes us from the depths of the Amazon rainforest to the cutting-edge laboratories of modern science, highlighting the incredible interconnectedness of nature, human ingenuity, and our constant quest for knowledge.
And now, as we stand at the cusp of this new era, the era of AI-driven discovery, it makes you wonder, what's next? What other medical breakthroughs are waiting to be unlocked? What role might AI play in tackling global health challenge, pandemic, antibiotic resistance? I mean, the possibilities are endless.
They really are, and AI is already being used in those areas, and the pace of progress is only going to accelerate. We're still in the early stages, but the potential is enormous. Think about it. Personalized treatment, tailored to an individual's genetic makeup, being able to predict and prevent outbreaks before they even spread, developing new antibiotics to combat drug-resistant bacteria.
It sounds like something out of science fiction. Are you saying these things are actually within reach?
I am. We're on the verge of a true paradigm shift in medicine.
It's both exciting and a little bit overwhelming, to be honest. So much potential, so many possibilities.
It is, but I think that's what makes it so compelling, right? We're on the frontier of something truly transformative.
But with all this talk of AI and advanced technology, it's easy to get lost in the hype. What can our listeners do to stay informed about these developments?
That's a great question. I think first and foremost, it's about being discerning. Be critical of the information you come across. Seek out reputable sources. Look to scientific journals, organizations dedicated to translating complex research into something that everyone can understand.
So it's about being an informed citizen, not just a passive consumer of information.
Exactly. And never be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
The more we understand about these technologies, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the ethical and societal implications that inevitably come with it.
Knowledge is power, as they say, especially in a world where things are changing so rapidly. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the jungles of the Amazon to the cutting edge of AI research. The story of quinine is a testament to human curiosity, ingenuity, and our unwavering quest to understand and overcome the challenges that nature throws our way.
It truly is. And as we move forward into this new era of AI-driven discovery, one thing remains clear. The journey is far from over.
It's just the beginning. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of quinine, what's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Stay curious, keep exploring, and never ever underestimate the power of a single discovery to change the world. Who knows what other wonders are waiting to be unearthed? What technological marvels are just around the corner?
That's a beautiful thought. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those mysteries, the breakthroughs yet to come. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the incredible world of quinine and its impact on history, science, and the future of medicine. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge and embracing the wonder of the world around us.